What you are looking at is a Minecraft base that was abandoned 6 years ago. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about this place, but if you know the history of the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft, the base is actually hiding a dark secret. It was once home to the largest illegal bedrock structure ever made on 2b2t, a giant sphere that stored thousands of weapons. In survival mode, this is something that shouldn't even be possible to build. In the spring of 2016, a notorious group of hackers almost brought the server to its knees by using the sphere as a base of operations. By hacking into an admin's Minecraft account, they were able to create anything their hearts desired: bedrock, end portals, barrier blocks, and of course, the giant sphere. It was so secretive that only 2 screenshots of it have ever leaked to the public since its creation, and for many years, some even doubted it was real. You could argue that this base was the mightiest ever built in 2b2t's history. So what happened to it? Why did it disappear? And are there any traces of it left behind? Today we'll discuss the dark history of 2b2t's Bedrock Sphere, explaining where it came from, how it was used as a staging area for causing server-wide chaos, and we'll explore what's left of the base in the present day to see if any illegal structures remain. When I'm not talking about 2b2t history, I'm usually at the gym, and nothing supports my active lifestyle like HelloFresh. Delicious ingredients get sent straight to my door, completely organized and ready to cook. HelloFresh offers veggie, pescatarian, and fit and wholesome meals to make it easy to stick to your goals. HelloFresh recipes feature produce that goes from the farm to your front door in less than a week, which means their menu features the season's freshest flavors. With HelloFresh, step-by-step recipes are super easy to follow, and pre-portioned ingredients help me cut out prep time, so I have time to get back outside. Not only that, but HelloFresh is up to 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant. If you want a taste, use my link or go to hellofresh.com and use code POGFITMC May 16 for up to 16 free meals plus 3 surprise gifts across 6 HelloFresh boxes and free shipping. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. So what exactly is so dark and mysterious about a giant sphere made out of bedrock? Well, it all started 11 years ago. In 2011, a player named Talo112 joined the server for the first time. Like many others, his initial experience was quite typical. He escaped spawn, established a base, and eventually made friends. He first made a name for himself in 2013 by slaying the server's second Ender Dragon. Using his hack client, he would eventually become a powerful PvPer and a force to be reckoned with. He would grief bases, discover duplication exploits, and would eventually befriend some of the more powerful players on the server. One of these friends was iTristan, a notorious hacker. This friendship would prove to be very useful, for in early 2016, Talo, Tristan, and a few other notorious players would form a group that would eventually be known as Nerds Incorporated. Their main goal was to backdoor and take control of the server, which Tristan had partially done in the past. By being part of their new group, Talo was given access to illegal super weapons, swords with a sharpness level of 32,000. Enough to kill someone in full armor instantly. In March of 2016, he would use these weapons when he took part in griefing a base called the Lands. The base members did their best to defend, but against an already talented PvPer with a super weapon, it was no use, and the base was destroyed. After this grief, the group became even more ambitious for control, to the point that they began searching real-world database leaks to try and gain access to an admin's Minecraft account. The administrator of 2b2t is known as Housemaster, but the nerds discovered that another account actually had admin powers, George Bush 420. A funny name for something that would eventually bring destructive consequences. The nerds managed to gain access to this account, essentially giving them control of the entire server. But they had to keep this power a secret. They needed a place they could travel to quietly stockpile materials. Talo was quick to suggest a location. A few years earlier, he had traveled hundreds of thousands of blocks away from spawn to make a small outpost on an island. It was a wide open space that would be perfect for their needs. The group traveled there and instantly began abusing the admin account. They would create end portals and would design a massive sphere made entirely of bedrock, which was floating over an ocean. The sphere had two informal names, Talo Base 4 and the Archive. Because there was no formal entrance, the only way to enter was to be teleported. Inside of it, there were hundreds of chests containing everything, from super weapons to armor sets, TNT, and even barrier blocks. These materials would easily allow them to conquer the server, and that's exactly what they attempted to do. Over the course of a week, numerous bases began falling in rapid succession, all griefed by the nerds. The community was in chaos, wondering how it was possible for base after base to be griefed so quickly. Unfortunately for the nerds, they got too greedy. They woke up one morning to find that the Bedrock Sphere and many of the other structures had vanished, deleted by Housemaster, only 2 weeks after their creation. They had drawn too much attention to themselves instead of showing restraint, and the base had become nothing more than it had started as, a simple island. This would be one of the last major events Talo took part in, as a few months later, he would quit playing 2b2t. But for over 6 years, the base has been left abandoned, only receiving the occasional visitor once in a great while. So did any illegal structure manage to survive? Was there anything else out there? I decided to travel to the base to see how it was holding up after all these years. I hopped onto one of my alt accounts that was closest to the coordinates. My journey started out at a recently griefed base, which I will explain in a later video. And no, it wasn't me. I hopped into the Nether and used boat fly hacks to travel quickly. The journey was pretty uneventful other than killing a highway surveillance bot on the way. That's right, some players will use baritone bots to gather analytical data about player movement on the server. Eventually, I branched off the highway and headed towards the coordinates. When I arrived, I found the nether hub of the base still mostly intact. Much of what had been on the roof was now gone. This is because a few years ago, Housemaster implemented a plugin that deletes everything on the nether roof, so all we have left are the screenshots of what was once there. I entered the portal to find that it had been disconnected from the actual base. After traveling a few hundred blocks, I found it. I started looking around at what was left. The bridge leading to the island was still mostly intact, as well as the island itself. There was a hole leading down to bedrock, and upon walking to the main part of the base, it was just as I thought. Some buildings remained, but many of the illegal structures had vanished. In order to compare the differences, I actually went to the exact spots that the screenshots were taken at. All of them had their illegal structures removed, and any alterations to the terrain were also removed. It was weird for me to be in the same spots where one of the most important events in the server's history had taken place. Eventually, I made my way to the location where the sphere had been located. There was absolutely no trace of it. If it weren't for a memorial pillar that had been built by previous explorers, you would have no idea anything had been here at all. While the illegal structures had all vanished, I did stumble upon an unexpected relic. One of the original horses kept at the base still survived out in the ocean, and upon checking the mob ID, I found it had indeed been tamed by the nerds. There are players on the server that collect animals that were owned by famous players, and there's no doubts that this horse would be highly valuable to them. But I decided to take the horse to an undisclosed location in order to keep it safe. If you were a random traveler and you stumbled upon this base, you would have no idea that the events that once took place here almost killed the server's community, and it was home to one of the most ominous structures ever built on the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. Subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also make sure to follow me on my socials, so take it easy and stay alive out there, Fit Fam.